Alright, we're live. We are. Perfect. Let's start. Hello everyone, my name is Nutmeg and welcome to tonight's Just Chatting stream. How's everyone doing? Hey Koki, what's up? How are you? I was just talking to you. Hurry up and finish Expedition 33 so I can actually have a discussion with you as well as Wrecker. That's all I'm asking. It's just a simple discussion. My video on the ending of the game caused somewhat of a controversy. I say most people agreed with me, but but there are some who are pretty adamant who disagree with my assessment of it or assumption of it. I won't say anymore because I don't want to ruin it. You'll just have to figure out for yourself. But yes, the Axon 5 Expedition 33. I don't know which one I want mask. This one. This one was probably the hardest one for me. Probably because I made it as hard on myself. I did not go against... Well, spoilers alert, guys. You can make this boss easier if you defeat its subordinates. Apparently, this guy has 3 masks, and each mask does different things, like giving him a heal him, or giving him an extra turn, something like that. So I did not beat any of his subordinates. So it was a pain in the butt, and I believe I had one shot. I believe that during the turn that I beat him, it was like I had Monoko for one more turn, and he was able to, I wouldn't say one-shot him, but he had one last gradient gouge attack, and that was it. Otherwise, there was another time that I had like one more attack that I would have beat him, and I died because I couldn't parry all of its attacks. So this was the toughest fight for me, because even though there are tougher bosses in the other games, in the later games, like the super bosses, the thing is that these characters get access to so many more abilities that eventually I just get too OP, and it wasn't even a challenge. But this one, I wouldn't say under-leveled, but under-prepared. And hey, Ned, welcome. It's good to see you. I saw your art, by the way. Beautiful. I look forward to your games. Something about turning... What do you call it?
From relieving roughness to soothing skin.
If you looked at all the games that I played, especially horror games, right? I love games that like has a good contrast between them. When it comes to horror games, it was like if you take something that is so childish or so cartoonish and so innocent. So for example, in horror films that uses like children, something that sounds innocent, it looks innocent, it like puts your guard down. And then when it flips the script, that's when it gets you. And those are usually the horror games that really, really interest me. So yeah, for example, I'll give Dead Space. When I first saw Dead Space, it was on their commercial. And the commercial was basically some woman singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars. Everyone knows that song. It's like a good little child's lullaby. And yet, what was shown on the screen was a bunch of necromorphs, torn limbs, dark corners, makes you feel absolutely hopeless. And it was just such a good contrast that it freaked me the F out. Yes, and I was just discussing this game with Koki. It looks like he has still not finished it, but he's going to maybe at the end of this week, hopefully, depending how long he plays. I spent about, I want to say 70 to 80 hours on this game, and I have completed everything. I have not, oh, thanks for the sub, Alicia. I have not completed, let's see, I beat every boss, but I did not collect everything, with the exception of one thing, which is the Pictos. I, for some reason, really enjoyed collecting the Pictos. And once I finished collecting every Picto in the game, yes, I used a guide for that, then it was the game got quite easy, because the ridiculous amount of Pictos you have in your arsenal, and the more that you equip it, the more powerful you get. Anyways, alright, tonight I'm gonna cook another budget meal. Salmon again with garnishes. Very simple. And I'm not so sure if what you guys think about my new setup. Last time it was me standing, but I feel like I have to hunch over. Apparently I'm a little bit too tall for it. So I decided to just sit down and cook, and also have my mouse and keyboard so you guys can see what I'm doing at all times. This also gives me an interesting proposition. You know how there are people who play games for challenges like speed runs or whatever, or no items, no healing, no deaths and all that stuff? Well, I'm not doing any of that. That's one. But maybe I can do something with cooking. As in, maybe I can play a game while cooking at the same time. That's actually a pretty big challenge. But it'll have to be some specific cooking. It has to be some kind of specific dish though. It can't be too complex. I'm guessing maybe stir fry. I'm not gonna cook noodles because this requires water. And if I flinch while playing, let's say, Five Nights at Freddy's, then it's gonna be a mess. But maybe I can cook fried rice because it's fast paced and maybe something like that. And I'm certainly not gonna hold the knife while playing a game though. Anyways, welcome. Feel free to throw whatever topic you have. I don't have anything to say other than the fact that this actually has been a pretty good week. You know why? Because I actually have a couple of appointments. Today I went on 2. I need a little bit more oil. Okay. The stove is terrible for cooking salmon. Not the right pan, but I'm poor, so what are you gonna do about it? Been playing more Roblox horror games. Spent 3 hours trying to get through the one specific game a couple days ago. Game called Frigid Dusk. So far it's a pretty solid game, although the instruction could be more obvious. That's the thing with these kind of, I guess with Roblox, is that you either get some really amazing games, or you get some really, or you get a couple of like not very good ones. It's kind of like Game Jolt and itch.io, except those ones you usually don't exactly have to pay. And you know, I guess Roblox is like a sandbox for game development. Because I remember playing FNAF Reimagined 2, and it was actually really, really good. It's very mixed. Thanks, Cookie. No need to give me good luck, it's just a cooking stream, man. Anyways, I enjoyed cooking and sharing stories, so my shorts have actually been doing rather well. I was a little surprised by that. I thought no one would really pick up on it. Okay, not yet. A little bit longer. But then there are some Roblox games that are just kind of duds. And the worst of it was because unlike itch.io and Game Jolt, where it's actually either free or you pay a specific amount. But when it comes to Roblox, you know, people do pay Roblox with real money. So developers are sometimes inclined, well, mostly are inclined to put some kind of game gimmick in there to incentivize you to pay to either get more lives, get a bigger advantage, all the other stuff. Those things always piss me off. I don't like those. Although I understand. All right. Okay, the oil's not hot enough, apparently. Huh.
At 54, my skin is a lot more prone to redness.
You're 54? Oh, she looks pretty good for a 54-year-old. Alright. So far, the next level game seems pretty promising. So far, it's the most impressive atmosphere-wise and introduces mostly new mechanics. I hope so. I mean, usually, these games,
with the Prologue SUV,
it's a hit or miss.
Up a better EV.
Alright, turn the heat all the way to high and then put it down to
Buy
medium.
online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local
This
Honda
time,
dealer today.
Jesus. These oil that is popping. And this time I'm not gonna mess it up by leaving aside. Last time I fucked it up. Hey, Mom. Can you give me the spatula? I forgot it. You want to fry the skin, but don't want to burn it. So it's either medium high heat. And once you put the salmon in, what happens is the oil temperature starts dropping rapidly. So just the metal one is fine, yeah. Alright, so you want to press on it, and you want to hear the noise. You want it to bubble, but you don't want it to like sizzle. And that's the key to making a crispy skin. Hey, Mom, can you give me the lid? Guides it. Alright, this is a good frying, because I can see the oil shimmering, shining, shimmering. And then I am gonna cover it up like this, with a little bit of lip right here, so the water can escape, or excuse me, the steam can escape. If you don't, then the heat goes up exponentially, then you're gonna get a very bad result, and it could go up in flame, mainly because the water cannot escape. This is why when you fry anything in a fryer, you don't really cover it up completely, as in cut off the oxygen, because the water steam is gonna have to escape. If it's get trapped, the water goes back into the oil, making that popping noise, pop, 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 and eventually, whoosh, flame. The reason I'm covering it up is to mimic the oven temperature, because usually if I'm cooking it in a regular setup, I basically fry the skin, put it in the oven, 350, 6 to 8 minutes depending on the size, and that's it. Afterwards, flip it over, rest it for another 5 minutes, you're done. Very simple to do. But because I don't have my oven here with me, I'm doing it in a more ghetto kind of way. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing this. Oh, speaking of which, this is why you should go visit different whatchamacallit, supermarkets, because I found these peppers in the Korean market, and you know what, one bag of this was 99 cents. You heard that right, that is cheap. Or if I buy this at, let's say, your local Walmart and all that stuff, one bag would be like $3.50 to $4. Same quality anyway. And some of you might say, well, what about organic? In my opinion, organic is a little bit overrated. Unless it's like farm raised meat, or like cage-free eggs or something like that, then those might be okay. Ah, Jesus. Get that. Ah, this knife is not good. Come on. I'm not used to cooking while sitting down. This is awkward as hell. Well, maybe cooking isn't that bad if I'm just flipping the pan. But if it's cutting, then this is far more dangerous. Don't try this at home, guys. Alright, that's enough. So when do you get the lid off? Well, when the salmon looks like it is about 80-90% cooked. Afterwards, then you flip it over. It's that simple. Alright. I have nowhere to put the trash though. Oh well. So yeah, I've actually had a couple appointments today. Well, appointments in real estate doesn't mean money though. It just means opportunity. Same thing with all this streaming stuff. Just because you have a stream doesn't mean that you can make a living off of it. So this is why if you do plan on streaming, don't think of it as a career. Think of it as a hobby. And more or less right now, I'm just enjoying myself cooking while playing a game. Oh, speaking of which, Five Nights at Wario's. If you guys were here on Saturday, I did beat all 6 nights. It was Five Nights at Wario's 3. It was actually a pretty interesting game, guys. I actually do recommend it. I thought it was just going to be another bootleg game, because the first 2 games didn't exactly impress me. It was just okay. It's passable for gameplay. But the third game actually did impress me quite a bit. The... whatchamacallit, instead of having every night an extra animatronic or different kind of enemy, it's every room instead. And every room has different kinds of challenges in gameplay. And some of it was actually pretty hard. The hallway gave me a challenge, but I thought it was pretty fair. What I know, however, the attic was the one I had the most trouble with, because that one to me seems the most unbalanced. I just couldn't get the mechanics down. When I started playing Chapter 2 of this game, one of the first thought was how different it is from Chapter 1. Like, it takes place in the same universe, but it's also like its own story. Like, it could easily be its own standalone thing, and the quality jump is crazy. I agree. Do you want to talk about it, Ned? Because I don't want to spoil you if you haven't finished it. I would love to speak to someone about this game, because I think it's a great game, Expedition 33. My initial impression of this game was, or rather, my first assumption for this game was not very good. Mainly because I don't know anything about this game, and a lot of the things I misunderstood or misread in the first act. So at the end of Act 1, when a certain event happened, at the end of Act 1, I basically say, oh, this game is like that, huh? There's a lot more to this game than I thought. So yes, I get exactly what you mean, Ned. Oh no, never mind. Sorry. Didn't mean, my bad. Alright guys. This is about 90% cooked. As you can see, the skin, or excuse me, the top is pale pink. That's exactly what I want. And if you cook the skin just correct, it should come off pretty easily, even if you're not cooking on a non-stick pan. There you go. Perfectly crispy skin. And now I'm gonna flip it over. I turn the heat off, and this is how you cook a perfectly good salmon. Without an oven, without any special tools. The only thing you really need is heat control and a good amount of oil. You can see that there's quite a bit of oil in there, and that's for a reason. It's because you're frying the skin. But you don't want to waste it either. So this is why I prepared a medley of vegetables. Garlic, peas, you can use tomatoes as well. Usually I put some tomatoes, some cherry tomatoes in there, but I didn't buy them today. And then peppers. So this turns into a vinaigrette. The juice from the salmon and the juices from these vegetables mixed with the oil creates a bit of like a vinaigrette. A little bit of salt. You can even add a little bit of vinegar in there if you like a more acidity. A little bit of lemon juice in there. And that's pretty much it. It's a very simple thing to cook salmon. I've turned the heat up, but as you can see, there's still some bubbles on there because there's still enough heat in the oil to cook the rest of the salmon. Now, just like a steak, you want to rest the salmon after you finish cooking it. What I'm doing right now is finish cooking it, but also resting it at the same time. So as soon as that oil stops bubbling, it's done. You can actually eat it just like that. So this is how I cook my salmon. If you have an oven, it's actually much easier, where I can just fry the skin, pop it in there, because in an oven you can cook it from the top and the bottom. But here, you only have the skillet. So this is like the easiest, most straightforward, and the cheapest way to cook a salmon if you do not have any sort of special tools or pans or whatever. I'm just demonstrating to you that you don't need all of that to cook good food. Now salmon is pretty expensive, so I only eat this on a special occasion, maybe a couple times a month. And it's not because I bought it, it's because my mom bought it. And certainly because I'm on a budget meal, this is not my meal. This is for my mom and for my dog. I've seen too many chefs cook it on one side and then they flip it over. That's a fine way of cooking it. But the problem with that is I don't like the bottom side of the flesh to be cooked that well, because it tends to dry and the flesh gets kind of tough. So this is my way of cooking it, and it's the way that I prefer eating it. For those of you who don't know, salmon can be easily overcooked, and what I mean by that is you want to eat a salmon like this, medium well, as the flesh is just pale pink. If it's like the salmon orange color, then in my opinion, it's a little bit overcooked. Still edible, but it's a little bit overcooked. But if you can get that color just right, which is how do I say it? The pale pink color. That's when the flesh is both succulent, tender, and juicy. And when you put it in your mouth, it's like butter. That's how you cook a good salmon. Apparently, also the third half of the chapter 2 of this Roblox horror game took 3 years, which would explain why it looks so much better graphically. Maybe I should get in touch with the Roblox community. Maybe I should. Alright. Perfect. And that's pretty much it. Once the bubble stops, this is how you finish cooking and resting the salmon. You can eat it right now. But I still have a little bit more things to do. If I flip it over, I can tell you that the bottom is a little bit, it's a little bit, it's not as orange as I want because the oil is still a little bit high, but it's fine. It's still delicious. All right, I'm gonna start cooking the vegetables. Get the heat back up. Get all the vegetables in there, starting with the garlic. Medium heat. You don't need too much heat. Because you just want to sweat them off. Translucent. Very easy. Very simple. No need to be afraid, guys, with the knife, with the oil. I am cooking in the worst way possible. Wobbly table. This is a $75 stovetop with no sink. This is I can cook this piece of salmon in an environment like this, you should be able to do it too, wherever it is you are, as long as you have a stove. If you're cooking outside, then that's a little bit different though. What's up, Hui? Welcome. Good to see you. Just chatting stream. I showed everyone how to cook a good salmon, by the way. And I'll be making this dish again. Too bad, though, I'm not eating it, because it looks delicious. Alright, there we go. Once it's done, just add... Oops, I didn't mean to add that. Just add this. Just sweat it off. Once the flesh of these peppers becomes soft, but you don't want to overcook it. It should be good. Medium heat. Any topics you guys want to talk about? The only topic I know of right now that is on everyone's mind is the freaking LA police riot. Thank goodness that I don't live in California, and not just because it is an extremely expensive place. Out of all the friends that I have, I only know one person who lives there, and he moved out. And he only lived there because he was there for to be a doctor. I think it was like his residence or something like that. And he was in Beverly Hills, so there's different parts of LA. I admit the weather is nice, but I've only been to LA like a handful of times, and I always felt extremely out of place because it's so expensive. How many of you live in LA? Just curious, or in California in general. Granted, I've been to San Francisco more because my aunt actually lives around there. But usually California is a place I really particularly don't care for. The only thing I like about the California is the weather and the food. I do admit you Californians have really, really good food because you guys have excellent soil over there. That's where all the apples and a lot of the good stuff are grown without being shipped from other countries. Okay. Now guys, what do you think? Does this look like pretty good? Like a pretty good garnish? Looks like a Mediterranean dish, isn't it? Just garlic, pepper, green peas. The only thing I'm missing is a tomato. Sweat these off. A little bit more. The juice from these peppers and the peas and the garlic, as well as the salmon, will be the bedrock for the sauce. Some black pepper, salt, and that's done. How does this look, guys? I know it's not the prettiest looking dish, but I promise you this is really delicious. You get vegetables, you get a sauce, you get a nicely cooked piece of salmon, and lastly, it's not too difficult to make. Hell, I can make this on a freaking computer desk. If I can make this in this setup, I don't see how you guys cannot make it in your own home with a better oven, or with an oven or stovetop. And to show it to you guys that it's not overcooked. Oof. Here. Here. I'll show you the sound. There you go. Of course you would eat it. It's good. There we go. Crispy skin. There you go, guys. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but look at that. It's glistening. It means it's juicy. Crispy skin on the outside as well. That's it. And that's how you cook a very easy salmon. It's done. Just pale pink.
Co-pilot,
Pale pink.
I'm heartbroken. How do I describe this feeling to my Korean grandmother?
Usually when I go to a restaurant, they cook it a little bit all the way through, and it's something that I don't really enjoy.
It conveys deep emotional pain.
Hello? Hello? Yes. Hello. Hell, if I ever become a good streamer that actually knows how to cook, I could invite all of you guys here to eat. I would love to cook for people, not for customers, but for just regular people. That's it. I don't know what to cook next, but what would I did think about. How do you guys like this setup, by the way? You guys can see how the screen is no longer being blocked by my face, and the top right is the stove, bottom right is my face, and then you got your chat below under. I think this is a pretty good setup, don't you think? That way everything is a little bit organized. Looks good, Ned? hopefully it'll motivate people to cook. And that it really doesn't have to be complex. Usually for these kind of budget meals, other than just replace the salmon with, say, a chicken breast or a pork chop, or if you have the money, a steak. But usually I just go with the chicken breast or pork chop because they're rather cheap. Pork being the cheapest around here. And then if you have ground pork or ground beef, just make a sandwich or a taco. And really, it's just you can make a burger as well. Maybe that's what I should make next time I have some ground beef. That'd be pretty good. Simple, delicious. And of course, this one, it's also it's not vegetarian. What is it? Pescatarian? Yeah, people who, if you don't know what that word means, it's basically people who only eat fish and vegetables. They don't eat any other meat. Fish only. So it's kind of like vegan, only eats plants. Vegetarian, plants, and some animal products like milk is okay, eggs are okay. Pescatarian is basically fish and vegetables, no other meat. I, of course, am an omnivore. I do not discriminate when it comes to food at all. Why? Because it's too delicious. Why would I give up a good steak? And just go around your local supermarket. Sometimes the Asian market, like I found today. Sometimes it could be your local Walmart or a Kroger, Safeway if you're in California or whatever, or H-E-B if you're in Texas, that have good deals. A bag of bell pepper, what is this? This usually I find at Sam's Club and Costco. These cost like $3.50. Today I went to H-Mart and it cost $1. Heck of a deal. I bought 4 of these. $4 for a bunch of peppers, and these are great for vegetarian, like these sauces. A good sauce is with oil and some of the juices from whatever it is you're cooking combined with it. I'm pretty proud of that salmon because unlike last time, I actually overcooked it. My mom told me, says that the inside was a little bit tough, even though it was perfectly acceptable. But that's only because I didn't look at the salmon. I couldn't feel the salmon. I couldn't see the salmon. But with this setup, I can actually see what is going on while reading the chat and doing everything else, which is kind of fun. The only issue I have, oil splattering everywhere. It's on my mouse. It's on the keyboard. Cleaning this is going to be a pain in the ass. But it's worth it, I guess. Speaking of which, let's see. Sharing these stories on my channel has actually been pretty well. It's just that I don't really have much stories to share about my life without getting too many topics. And this is where I have learned that channels like Asmongold and Moist Critical, they usually live on Reddit and Twitter, 2 websites that I really don't want to get myself involved in because it is drama central 24 hours a day. And to me, I'd rather focus something a little bit more positive, a little bit more supporting. Like if a new game comes out, great. Speaking of which, guys, I don't know if you guys heard about this game that I saw this on the Xbox game show. Granted, it's only 43 seconds long. Persona 4 Revival. Yes. Me and every other Persona fan already know this is going to happen anyway. I knew it was going to happen as soon as I played Persona 5 because they made the models for the main characters. So it was going to happen. And when 3 came out, I was like, well, 4 obviously is going to happen. A lot of us didn't get the name right though. I thought it was going to be Persona 4 Rewind. It sounds like a pretty good name because of the VCR, the tapes, and the old school, 420 TVs. But hey, Revival is good. It's like a revival of a show. But unfortunately, I would say that there's not much to expect. because if this is exactly how if they follow the exact same footsteps as, say, Persona 3, then they're not going to add anything. There's no new dialogue, no new combat, no new abilities, no nothing. It is purely a 100% remake. Is that a bad thing? No. But it's I played this game already a couple of times. I played Golden before, and then I played the original. This is actually still my personal favorite Persona series so far, including 5, including 3 Reload. There's not much to show you guys though, because it is just scenes. But if you have played this game before, this is nostalgic as hell. And I still can't get over how good the soundtrack of this game is. Yep, this is the Inaba soundtrack. So good. Whether you are a fan of Persona or not, one thing is clear. They have goated music. Yeah, Inaba. I'm gonna guess this will probably be out around the end of the year. It shouldn't take that long, mainly because I'm pretty sure they worked on it exactly the way, at the same time as Persona 3. So that when they finished 3, everyone else started working on 4. And you know what? That's okay. I think 4 is the best in the series, both in terms of story and gameplay. Because unlike 5, I think 5 was a little bit too long, where 3, Tartarus was a complete snooze fest. I hate Tartarus. It's just too much. And the social links, it's not as forgiving as 5, but it's not as rigid as 3. So this is a very, very, very good, middle point. And I would hope that they stick to it. Inaba to me is still better than Shibuya or the school city, because it's a small town. People are a little bit more interconnected. I remember getting teary-eyed at some of the social links. I don't know if I'll do that again though, but unlike 3, where I tried to stream it and I feel like that it just wasn't worth it because it was too long. Not only was it getting too long, but also getting a little bit tedious with Tartarus. I will be streaming this. I will be buying this game, and I will be streaming all the way through. I don't know about 100% completing it, which is doing every social link, whatever. I've only been able to do that after the second playthrough. But if it's just the first time, yeah. And this game has some of the most goated girls ever. Goated relationship. And the best one is definitely Kanji. Heartbreak. Yep, I remember those songs. I will not be looking at this trailer again, or whatever, any trailer, because I already know what to expect. So I just need to know what the release date is, and I'm set. And no, I do not pre-order anything, including this game. I will not be pre-ordering this game. I think pre-ordering is just a bad habit for gamers to buy into the hype. And honestly, if this game is exactly the same as before, there really is no point in getting hyped over. It's just, oh man, it's a very good game that I've loved for a long time, but it's the same, it's just in higher graphics. Well, not higher graphics, but more updated looks, and that's okay. That's fine. Eventually, they'll be remaking Final Fantasy X, though. I don't know if I think they have to finish Final Fantasy VII though. But I saw the Xbox. See you later, Hui. I saw the Xbox handheld. This is okay. To me though, ROG, it looks very cool. I like the look, and I think the grip probably would feel really, really good. I still say the original 360 has the best shooting controller, But when it comes to these handheld games, right? I just have a big question for everyone who is interested in these kind of consoles. Why would you... What kind of game would you want to play on a handheld? Sure, you can play the entire Xbox library. But what kind of games would you like to play on there? Call of Duty? Gears? So basically a lot of shooters. My issue with that is when it comes to shooters, you need very high frame rate. And then you also need a stable internet connection if you want to play multiplayer. I'm not so sure if that works on a handheld. And the Wi-Fi is dubious at best. Unless you are in a very good Starbucks and you're the only one there. Horizon. It's a cool machine, but out of all of the games I've played on the handheld, most of them are casual games. Stardew Valley, RPGs, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, whatchamacallit, Fire Emblem. Those games do not really require a lot of FPS, so if they're running at 30 FPS, that's okay with me. But if I'm playing a shooter or a high action game, I would never play it on a handheld, no matter what. The Wi-Fi and the controls, the fact that I have to hold up a literal screen, it doesn't feel that good. So that's why I don't exactly, I don't see the market for this. And this also goes back to the Nintendo Switch 2 Wi-Fi internet testing. Is it better? 72 hours later, FPS. Wow. 17 frames per second to 20 frames per second. Why would I play Cyberpunk in this quality though? The only thing it has for it is I can play it on the go. But if I'm going to play something on the go, it's usually just to kill time because it's competing with the best, arguably the most addictive handheld of all time, which is your phone. I mean, you could surf YouTube. You could, whatchamacallit, you can play those gacha games on there. You can spend hours on there. And also, the chance of your phone getting stolen while playing a game is probably much lower than saying if you're playing a Switch 2 or this Xbox handheld thing in public. It's not a good thing. And I'm only buying the Switch 2 because it has Nintendo exclusives. But right now, not only is it hard to find, but also there aren't that many exclusives. Alright, let's see. Maybe it's not a good test. Performance. I've never seen these things, though. Switch versus Switch 2. Alright. So this is better, but I'm not so sure about this. Let's see. Oh yeah, this thing, Omni. I think I saw this thing on Shark Tank. I don't think this is consumer ready. If I ever get one of these in my house, oh boy. I really do want this to be a consumer friendly, but I think it's just not there yet. I can't imagine myself, if I'm gonna be in VR and doing all these exercises, you're gonna be all sweaty, which is great, but you also have to wear the the VR eyes, the VR set, which, trust me, it's not that comfortable. It's already hot in your eyes, okay? And you do not look like that. You look like shit after after a while.
Fortnite just got a Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade. I'll be doing a battery test on the Switch 2 and how it compares to the Switch 1. I also want to show off.
I don't
how
care about the
Switch 2
battery
version
life.
looks
That's
and
fine.
rules. I mean, it better be a huge
All right, Switch 1, Switch 2, 60 FPS.
upgrade. We're talking about a whole console generation here. The draw distance is better. There's more details. There's better lighting, better shadows. Everything overall is just better. Switch 2's around 1200p docked, while in handheld mode it runs around 900p. The Switch 1
It's nice, but would I play Fortnite on the handheld? Probably not.
is 880p docked, while it's around 660p in handheld mode. Switch 2
I don't know anyone who want to play. Does anyone here who play Fortnite wants to play it in a subway car or whatever on the bus, or waiting for it to get your driver's license? You're holding it like this. That's what I want to know.
now gets those nice looking water reflections, which the Switch 1 was
Because most
completely
people would
missing.
rather just
Perhaps the
scroll
biggest
on their
difference
phone.
is the frame rate. We now have 60 FPS on the Switch 2 and pretty much a solid locked 60 FPS without any drops.
This is what I
Switch 1 was
expect.
locked to 30 FPS, but
Like, if
can't
I
even
if I
hold the
played
solid 30.
Fortnite
There's
on the
drops
PS4,
into the mid 20s quite often.
it's
on
not
that
bad.
8-year-old console.
It's just
Switch 1
what
also
of it?
has a lot of pop in when it comes to objects. Switch 2 is improving on that.
Switch
Better
2
than
versus PS4. Okay,
Switch
here we
2's
go. It's a little bit higher pixel by 140 pixels. What is the point? And this is the PS4, as in the OG, not the Pro.
higher resolution, the lighting's better, the shadows.
So which one of these look better, though? I'd say probably the one on the right. Maybe the color is a little bit more poppin'. The main thing with shooter is the frames per
Better
second,
draw
and
distance
does
is
it?
better. All the little details. There's a clear improvement over the PS4. Both consoles, of course.
But
target
PS4 is
60
2013
FPS.
though.
Even in terms of FPS stability, Switch 2 seems to be an improvement here over the PS4.
Series X, I don't
Next,
know. Okay,
internal
PS5 Pro.
resolution, and then upscales to
Okay,
4K.
I don't need to see that because obviously PS5 is gonna win. My issue is, would anyone want to play shooters on a handheld for extended period of time? No, I personally would not. I'd rather have a large screen and have a better reaction time to it. On a handheld, you're very limited. And so this is just graphics and the frames. But I wanted to be able to test multiplayer, as in, is it laggy? That is the one big issue with Nintendo, is that their online multiplayer sucks. And when I play Smash is, here, hold on. Actually, Smash. Loading difference, all right. Damn these commercials. Oh, it's still slow as hell, isn't it? 13 seconds, 15 seconds. All right, 20 seconds to load. You save about 10, 15 seconds. Man, I never realized how slow the Switch is. 15 seconds. Almost 15 seconds. Alright. Let's see. Online. 1 month. I want to see the online capability of the Switch 2. If there's one thing that sells me on the console is Smash. So okay, you don't have any exclusive right now. Okay, fine, except for Mario Kart World. But at least being able to play Smash Ultimate Online a little bit smoother, that might be a little bit, that might be a bit okay. But it doesn't look like there's anyone testing it right now. Is the Switch 2 online Smash better than Switch 1? I would hope so. Huh. Nothing here says yes. No, it's not worth it. I just don't see it. Give it a year at least, maybe 2, for the hype to die down and for the game library to beef up. Otherwise, I just don't see the point of buying it right now. Not saying it's a bad console. It's just there's nothing to play. This is the same conclusion for me personally when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox. As in, there's not enough exclusives on there to entice me to buy that console. And I do regret buying my PS5. I said that multiple times. Where those games that I played on there can easily be accessible on the PC. I just had to wait for a bit. And now with Final Fantasy going in PC, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I don't even want to. My PS5 is not even doing anything except collecting dust. The only games that I'm gonna buy right now, is Deltarune because my save file is in there, and 3 is GTA. And that's only because the PC is coming out later, which I will buy eventually again. Not worth it. Man. The favorite child returns, Persona 4 revival parody. That's true. I still like you, Narukami, the Persona 4 protagonist, more than the others. Although Makoto from 3 gives you a run for its money. I've never been a big fan of Joker. I think he's okay. I think he's cool, but there's not much to it. But that's funny to say because they're all silent protagonists. They have almost the exact same personality. What the frickin' is this? What am I looking at? And of course, this is the live feed for everyone's right now. I just don't understand the LA riots. I don't know where you are, guys, where you live, but here in America, you are allowed to protest. But you are not allowed to riot. You are not allowed to burn cars down. You are not allowed to go into government properties and start, breaking stuff. You're not supposed to block the roads of people going to work. That's all there is to it. But other than that, if you just want to shout and put up signs, go ahead. That's your right. But man, this is such a mess. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone living in California, or excuse me, in LA that can give me a full report on what is going on. So all I'm seeing are just from the news, or you're either from MSNBC or Fox or whatever. Both sides leaning to one extreme of a different coin. So that's all I can say about it. And I know Hassan went there, but I tend to stay away from that guy's content as much as possible for my own health benefits and for my own sanity. Doesn't mean that I'm on Asmongold's side. It's just I'm definitely not on Hassan's side. Huh. What is with these shorts? Well, what is this? Usually these are not allowed on YouTube, but it's hard. I gotta admit, it's hard for me to look away. I'm only human, and I'm a healthy guy. Damn, I'm almost certain that it's AI. It's AI. It's AI. It's AI. One more last look. Okay, I'm done. Okay, one more look because she is really hot. Hey, I'm only human, okay? And this is incognito, so this is not from my cache or anything. YouTube will allow the weirdest thing on their website. It's apparently in the ads. That last time they showed me some very sus anime ads, and this time it's straight up either. I don't know if this is AI. I think this is AI. Okay, that was just an excuse to look at her again. But damn, it looks good. I don't think this is AI though. I do not think this is AI. This looks real. Anyways. But yes. Ned, I want to ask you something. Do you mainly watch streams on Twitch though? That's what I want to ask you. I want to take my stream back up a notch, but the thing is, my internet cannot handle a higher, Twitch cannot handle a higher streaming data. If I stream mainly on YouTube, which I actually did before, I can at least do 1080p, not 4K, but 1080p at 60 FPS. You know, the bandwidth, or the bitrate, excuse me. But with Twitch, the bitrate is limited to 6,000. And if I want to do multi-stream, then I can only do this, which is around 720p at 30 FPS. I mean, it's passable, but I don't know how people feel about that. And also, I heard Twitch is in some kind of trouble with how they're allowing more and more extreme stuff on there politically. Back then, I thought the hot tub meta was gonna ruin it, but right now, I guess it's a saturated market, so they moved on to OnlyFans. There's not as much on there, and now it's more political. It's more political stuff. You mainly watch Twitch streams. I personally prefer Twitch for streams, but I'm not opposed to either sites like YouTube. That makes sense. YouTube, believe it or not, is still not there when it comes to streams, because most people on this website, on YouTube, are, viewers of short form or long form content. Streams is something that it's not there yet, but I think it'll eventually become like a main source of entertainment. It's gonna be there. I just don't know if YouTube is willing to go that far, because streaming does take a lot of money, as in it takes a lot of bandwidth from them, where this is just purely data, so it's not as expensive. But man, also Ned, I've ran into way more trolls, as well as what do you call those guys that comes into your stream, say hi, and then says, would you like to, do you need a new wallpaper, or would you like to see my art? Those kind of guys. I don't know if they're scammers or just, very, desperate artists. I mean, it's understandable if they are. I've ran into way more people on Twitch than on YouTube. So that's another thing that I've experienced. Doesn't mean YouTube doesn't have it, but it's a lot less on YouTube. Another thing would be that YouTube is they enforce their rules quite roughly. I got a not copyright strike. I got a strike for inappropriate material on YouTube, even though I didn't think it was that inappropriate. You see all those types of comments all the time when I moderate my friend's stream. It's so annoying. I don't have any mods on Twitch, mainly because I don't have that many people watching on Twitch. Most of my viewers are on YouTube for some reason. But yeah, it does get kind of annoying. I don't mind trolls here and there, but there are good trolls, and there are just very, very bad trolls as well. As in, on the food channel, or the food category that I am in right now, I had 2 people on there, new viewers came in, followed me, and then starts typing some of the most racist stuff imaginable. I entertained them. I made a good content out of them. That was actually one of my shorts. And I think I like to think that I handled it quite well. I basically annoyed the shit out of them, and then they left because they literally said, you know what, you speak too much. They asked racist questions like, do I eat puppies, dogs, or whatever? I was like, well, in the countryside, some people do. And I just went on a full explanation of it, and I thought that was quite hilarious. So it's like one of those you're trying to tell a joke to offend someone, and then they take that joke and then they explain the joke to the point where you take all the humors out, and then he's like, well, f off. I don't. They get a reaction from you, but it's not the reaction that they want, so they just left. Seriously, if you go back to that stream, they literally it's like, okay, you know what your problem is, you talk too much. Boom, they left. There you go. That's how I deal with trolls. You take it in stride. So I actually don't mind trolls all that much. I think it's kind of hilarious. But yeah. Oh, speaking of which, another thing about this setup, Ned, is that I more or less want to do a little bit more of a cooking challenge. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, do you think that it would be interesting to watch me play a game while cooking at the same time? The dish I'm going to make is most likely stir fry, because I cannot imagine myself cutting onions and whatever and cutting garlic while also playing a game. Not possible. Any game. But I could maybe more or less stir fry with my left hand or right hand while also playing, let's say, a very simple game frantically. That is like a challenge that I don't think I've ever heard of. I've ever seen. You think I can? Just give me your opinion on that. I'll try not to hurt myself. You know, it could be fried rice, it could be a stir fry, vegetables, whatever. It would be interesting. Never seen something like that. I've never seen it either, because two of my passions is cooking, chatting with you guys, and playing games. Another thing would be you guys, the chat, tell me what to cook. As in, this is a stir fry, and the more that I die, every time I die, let's say Five Nights at Freddy's, you guys, let's say, add salt. I was like, okay, I can add salt in there. And after another time, you can say, add sugar. And then at the end of the level, I was like, okay, this is what I cooked. It's stir fry with salt, sugar, whatever you guys want, hot sauce, as long as it's not too expensive. I'm not going to throw in a piece of Wagyu beef or oysters or scallops in there. Like, this is what I have for tonight. And you guys can pick some of the most wacky ass stuff. Maybe throw peanut butter in there. So that's what I think. Those are the two things that I think would make a pretty interesting cooking gaming stream. But this also limits the amount of games I can play. For example, I cannot play shooters because that would require literally two hands, and it's not really possible. But if it's like a clicking game or story game, then maybe that would be something that could happen. What do you think, Ned? What do you think? I'll give you guys a bunch of ingredients to play with. And every death that I have, you guys choose what to put in there. Maybe like a spinning wheel, or maybe, yeah, that would be really interesting. I'm gonna try that maybe tomorrow. What do you say? Hopefully you'll be here then. I think that'll be really, really fun. Ned, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry that there's not as many people on a Monday. But right now, I'm slowly trying to rebuild this channel, by the way. Because, by the way, Ned, I'll just give you a bit of advice. This is what I've learned. If you want to build a YouTube community, it's hard to understand what you are good at in the beginning or what you enjoy. So in the beginning, I played some horror games, and eventually I had to pivot to just mainly cooking because I'm out of money. So the YouTube algorithm, like, if you want to pivot, it's quite difficult because the algorithm kind of figures out, okay, this is the audience you're going with. So all of a sudden you're switching from horror games to cooking it's a little bit, it's a big transition. Some people even told me to start over and just start a new channel, which I don't want to because I don't want to leave you guys. Don't worry about it. But yeah, tomorrow let's go with Five Nights of Wario's, and there's that daylight challenge that I'm looking forward to. But instead, I'll make it extra special by extra hard by cooking at the same time. Or yeah, I'll make it a cooking challenge. All right, thanks for being here.